Hello and welcome to...
And I'm Kayla Dice. I'm still a little bit sleepy because I stayed up quite late last night because I'm recording a new season of my other podcast, which is an interview one, and it means I need to account for time differences sometimes.
Oh.
Well, that's the thing. Americans staying up late, unless it's like really early for me, that's still kind of an early time, like, depending on them. This wasn't too bad.
When I was on Hats, Forgotten Eras. Shout out to Forgotten Eras. We did like almost an entire season of actual. Like the idea was we were going to record it all in bulk and then release it. Patrons, I guess, was the plan. And like for some reason, we got to like right at the end of the campaign, and then it just sort of petered out. Like there was one session of recording left, but. The reason I mention this is because every recording session I had to like stay up until 12 to start, and then it was a 2-hour recording session.
Yeah, the one I did last night ended up being a 2-hour recording session, which is not always guaranteed with LifePath. Like some episodes have been like just about an hour of recording, and then the episode's a bit shorter. And it started at 10 and ended at 12. So to be honest, it wasn't that late. It's just I then take a while to get to sleep because it's not. My sleep is not sleeping great lately. But other than that, I'm fine. I think I have a store open by the time this comes out.
What's in the store?
Books and games. There's like free things that you cannot get anywhere else in the world. I've got To Embrace a Swamp Creature, Illustrator's Guide to the Dreamlands, and Story of a Story, which are all there, and that's the only place you can get them. Cheers. Fun.
Where can we find the shop?
It'll be ratwave.square.site. It will also be linked via my website.
Wow. In fact, there's a link in the podcast description.
Oh my god, yes.
I am putting a note for myself to do that. Put website pod disk. Cool.
But yeah.
So.
I had an idea.
Super. Go ahead.
That I don't think is an idea for a game itself, but is an idea of a way someone could write a book. And I don't have anything to combine it with at the moment. But basically, I have been doing a therapy workbook recently.
Yeah.
Because of my issues.
Because of therapy issues, yeah.
I'm not going to talk about what it's about or anything, but like, and I just find it interesting the way like a workbook is structured, where it will like give you like a paragraph of stuff, and then it will be like, write down the things that rang most true for you from that description, or here's an empathy exercise, we're giving you a scenario, how would you react in that scenario? Like it's a lot of stuff to write in, but it's also a lot of imagining, and I was suddenly thinking like, oh, what would a TTRPG book that's like adopting this format look like? And I'm presumably, I guess, imagining as, like, a GM teaching tool. Or maybe, like, or maybe something to do with, like, more in-depth character creation options, I guess, if you are passing a book around, but...
Yeah, or, like, a world generation thing.
Yeah, but, easily for teaching tools, I can imagine stuff where it's like, okay, yeah, here's... Instead of an example of play where it's just, like... You know, a standard example of play structure is there's a page explaining a rule, and then there's an example that, like, tries to tie in lots of situations together. May include, like, oh, here's what happens if this fails, here's what happens there. But, like, yeah, you could get a situation where it's like, okay, here's what this GM is doing, talking to this player, and this player saying what they're doing. If you were the GM, what role would you call for right now? Or what move do you think has been triggered? Or
then you turn the page and it tells you what the writer would have used.
Yeah. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of game you're doing. But,
And here's the proper response you need, says Therapy Book.
Or, you know, stuff like, okay, imagine this situation has happened, this move has been triggered, this roll has happened, here's what the result is. How would you react to that?
Yeah.
Things like that? I don't know. I think that's maybe, like, an interesting format to do, like, both, like, making a sort of example of play more in depth, but also, I guess...
Oh god, now I'm imagining, like, a choose-your-own-adventure book, but you're the GM.
But I don't think it's choose-your-own, because I don't think there's an underlying narrative. This is the thing. I like, examples of play where it's like, oh, throughout whole the book you kind of get like a story of someone's whole session. But like, I don't think you can do that in here. You are giving like half examples of play in fragments, and these are just like discrete responses.
Like, the choose your own adventure book, but you're the GM, and it's like, the adventurers walk into the crypt. If you would like to place down some goblins, turn to page 12.
Yeah.
If you would like to place down whatever, turn to page 29.
Yeah.
Is the treasure chest a mimic? Turn to page 72. I don't know.
That's something there, maybe. I don't know who it's for, but I could see it being for someone. Maybe I'm just in...
It's like a parody of Choose Your Own
Adventures,
I think.
It feels more like a thing you, I guess, read for the inherent humor of it. Because in my mind, I feel like most people who like GMing, like the people who are there. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not,
I don't know, people GM for strangers.
True. Oh, by like people, I meant like people just being there. Like, rather, like, in my mind, that's an experience that, like, it easily could translate to solo play. I'm just not sure if, like, the audience is there for it. But I don't know, because I don't...
When you really need to get your GMing kick, but all you've got some paper.
Yeah, I don't consider myself, like, the trend of a forever GM or whatever.
Yeah.
I consider myself as someone who has GM'd sometimes, played others, and enjoyed both. I don't like organizing things, so I'm bad at, like, so I don't often run games, because, like, the fact of running a game is often tied into being the person who organizes people playing the game. And I did for a while split this up with a person, where I'd be like, you can organize the game, and I can go and I can run it. I'm happy to run it if you want to play in this game. But you can invite people around to our house and do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the therapy book idea, although like the workbook approach to a thing, and this isn't a game in itself, because there's nothing. And I don't have any games I don't know if I have any games in development it would be a good approach for. I don't think it would work with Psycho Dungeon, because Psycho Dungeon doesn't have a GM. Because it's like it's built on, like, belonging outside belonging, so I don't think it works.
Could you use this for the character gen for that? Because it's, like, you could, like, a psychological report on your character as, like, the character sheet.
Like, I feel you could use this character creation for a game. I think I already like the character creation I have for Psycho Dungeon, so I wouldn't want to pull it out and replace it with something like this. But I could see it working at some point. Like, I'm thinking of what stuff I have that's GM'd, because I'm like, Nemesis Revealed, which is the Being Rivals game that used to be Other Side of the Coin. That's got rotating roles.
Yeah. Psycho
Dungeon, like, has roles that can be more static than most BOB games, but neither of those are, like, a GM in any way. And then I guess it's, like, the time travel game I've got. Like, maybe that, which I've not written any examples of play for, I think, is a space I could explore this in. But also, that's a far-off game and big. It just occurred to me while reading as well, because, like, it's also stuff like you get workbooks for, like, school kids. Like, I've read some of these because I've used them for, like, lesson plans when I used to teach, and they're often this thing of, like, self-directed exercises that are supposed to teach you something or help you translate information. Like, it's even the thing of taking notes. Like, if you're reading about, like, something in most classes or stuff, like, the expectation is, like, you take some notes at the same time, because, like, translating that into your own words helps it stick in your head. But, like, to the best of my knowledge, most people don't try and, like, learn RPG books that way. I think it's just a different, like, mode of reading.
Yeah, you kind of learn RPG books by doing, don't you?
Yeah. I'm not saying, like, oh, that's bad, but I'm wondering whether it could help. Like, in my mind, I'm wondering if I would find it helpful, like, because there are definitely loads of kind of games I've read where my immediate reaction to this was, like, I'd love to play it, I think I'd get stressed out running it. And I wonder if I took a more sort of, what if I take notes? What if I try and do some, like, exercises or stuff while reading this book? Would I actually get to a point where I'd be like, no, I don't think this cognitive load would be intimidating?
Isn't that the point of a GM screen, though?
I don't...
To remind you of the rules.
Yeah, maybe. This is the thing, I've never played a game with a GM screen.
It's like most, like, well-made GM screens have, like the Dungeons & Dragons one, say, has, like, rules for creating characters and events on the inside. I think if I was designing it, it would probably have like, here's all the skills, here's what you could use them for, here's the stats, here's what you could use them for.
Yeah, and I guess
here's how you read a stat block, maybe.
I guess that's the same as the like GM sheet, like reminder sheet or basic reminder sheets for like games like Apocalypse World and stuff, which I've read. Yeah, I think there's something to that, like the reminder sheet. But my main thought here is that like I liked playing a campaign of Blades in the Dark, and when I tried to run Blades in the Dark, I got anxious and didn't like doing it.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, well, what would help me bridge that gap? And I don't know if that, maybe it just can't be. Maybe that's like a bit too many things to hold in my head, and it doesn't work for me. Or
it's like how Morkborg has the entire actual rules texts within its like inside the front cover, so if you ever need a quick reminder of the rules, you just open up the front page of the book.
Yeah, for the terminal has a GM screen, partly just because it was a thing we could put as an add-on, but like the sections of that, it's like one side reminds you of how challenges work, which is like the main build-up mechanic, and then one side reminds you of the rules of a showdown, because that's like the big climax, and then the middle like just links to the table for traveling like by sea.
Yeah,
so I'm like, yeah,
it's like the stuff that you need every session, but you don't really want to have to look up in the book.
Yeah, I think like, I'm gonna park this workbook idea in the back of my mind, and maybe one day it will come in handy for me.
Yeah,
but
I mean, the way I'm doing character generation for the dungeon game I'm making, which doesn't really have a good name, Dungeon Country, I think I called
it Dungeon Country
week,
before,
but
then said like Dungeon Town, maybe Dungeon Hamlet.
Yeah.
Dungeon Parish.
Like Dungeon Pulp was in my head this week.
Dungeon Pulp.
It'll be something else next week.
Dungeon, with pulp.
On really. Yeah. Oh, hey. Oh, that works. Oh. I get it printed on like really cheap paper. And,
yeah. Like a really weird off color.
No. The way that I'm doing character creation in that is that the entire book is like a guidebook for adventurers, and it's sort of like written from a character in the world speaking to these adventurers, and then all of the pick lists are: I wield a sword, I am adventuring to escape, and it's all like I statements about your character. It's like as if you're speaking back to the narrator.
Ah, that's nice. It's a bit Homestuck, isn't it?
It's like I always like the way that Quest did it, where the character sheet was just like a Mad Libs, like I am a adjective noun who verbs, like, and it's like in this the world generation is like, in this world there is blank, but there is also blank. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like Mad. I feel like a lot of things don't touch Mad Libs.
It's unexplored space.
I heard you were thinking of putting feet in the game.
Okay, so all the stats I've named after body parts. So we've got head, we've got... I know, right? We've got heart, we've got arms, we've got hands, we've got guts. It used to be stomach, but I changed it to guts because that kind of also is bravery as well as stomach stuff. And it's like, well, you use your feet for maneuvering, right? That could be like a dexterity thing that isn't like hand stuff.
Hand stuff was the perfect
like
phrasing for that there. If you don't want to do hand stuff, you can use your feet.
Exactly, you get it. or use your head. So it's just like there's manual dexterity, but then there's also, do you need something for speed, for like, oh, we've got to quickly get through here? Is that just guts for bravery, or is it like, do you need a dedicated running stat?
Yeah, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, I don't think you need a dedicated running stat, but I guess I wonder. I guess it's a question of like, what do you expect people to be doing in an average session, and do you think a role that would...
It's like, okay, the dungeon is crumbling around you and you need to get out quickly.
Yeah. Do you think that comes up
I
enough
guess
that feet as distinct from guts is worth it.
Yeah, it's like, would I want feet for like avoiding traps? But then that's just like kind of use your eyes to like see them.
Sneaking could be
I
feet.
don't know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like feet for sneaking, for moving fast. If there's a third one, I can't think of a third thing.
Maybe that's a sign feet doesn't work.
Yeah. If you know what feet can do, let us know in the comments.
I'm worried to look at our comments now. Okay, should we make a game? Because we've gone... Because we've discussed an idea for how you could write something, which I guess in this cooking show analogy is just like, I'm one of the fucking Sunday morning kitchen guys. Or is it Saturday morning kitchen?
Here's what you can do.
Yeah, I've showed up and I've just extolled the virtues of an egg and the possibilities of it. And then it's like, so we're going to make something today. And it's like, no, I don't. None of the recipes we've got today are going to use that egg, but...
We're going to make something with pork. Nothing with the egg?
No, but just think about the egg. Consider the egg.
I just like eggs. Okay. Have you got a word?
Yeah, I've got a word. Should I go first?
Yeah,
trashy.
I have museum.
Trashy museum.
Tate Modern. Oh.
Bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom.
It's the year 3000, and you are a tour guide at the National Geographic. And you've just come through the Roman section. You've just come through the artifacts from World War II, and now here's the section from the 21st century. It's our 21st century exhibit, and we've got this wonderful thing, which is, we don't quite know what it is. We think it might be some sort of ritual object. It is a round metallic object. It's got a hole in the top. We believe it was originally a full surface, but there's a hole indented in it. With a bright, the top of it and the bottom of it is both silver, but around it is this gorgeous red colour with writing on it. We don't know what this writing means. It's untranslatable. We haven't got the Rosetta Stone to translate it from the ancient language of the 21st century people. But we believe that this must be an important object because they have so many of them. We've found so many of them in, we believe, religious sites where we found them with other offshoot items like sofas and these recycling plants. These must be of some religious worth. The amount that they have these, and these recycling plants must be where they went to worship. And so the tour guide holds up a Coke can, and this was the one such example of a religious object.
So is the concept is it maybe just an improv game where like the beat is you look through, I guess, recycling, because recycling is dry and so not like gross to like grab something from your own recycling.
Yeah. Also, in 1,000 years, biodegradable stuff wouldn't still be around.
Yeah, so... makes sense. I'm more just thinking like, I'm not gonna ask someone to go into their bin.
Throwing a wet banana peel.
But just like a thing of you have to grab rubbish and you have to be the tour guide, doing the sort of the like, oh, what if future archaeologists? But what's like the end thing? Is this like?
I think like you have to link all of the objects together to like tell a story. So you've got like some scissors, a Coke can, a plastic figurine of a My Little Pony. What was 21st century living like when these are the only three objects we have to know?
Or maybe actually you're dueling museum curators, and so like you each get like I guess it's like you decide the numbers of stuff, but it's the thing of like one person does this thing, it's like, oh yeah, it's probably like an adultery or whatever, and then someone else will go like, this theory is codswaddle, and comes in, and you've got to be very serious and make your own theory. And I guess, like, it's a thing, maybe you're shifting in and out of the roles of, like, rival tour guides and the audience itself, and you're all sort of deciding, well, what did the audience believe? And, like, that gives a win to that tour guide. But also, you, the players, have this extra distance of like, well, they're all fucking wrong. None of them are showing up with the truth. Like, it's all just going more ridiculous and convincing, like, yeah, this whole crowd. And I guess maybe it's like, you win at an individual exhibit and then move on, grab another thing. I think it's a game you play as much as it feels fun, but I reckon you maybe kill, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't think there's, like, an end condition. Party
game. Yeah.
But I feel this is the rare party game we've invented where I'm like, no, this is solidly still a role-playing game. There are some where I'm like, have we invented a role-playing game? I'm not convinced. This one I'm like, no, this is definitely a role-playing game. Yeah, I like that.
What's it called?
I almost think, like, I know usually we go for pithy titles. I'm almost like, we should call it something like Future Archaeologists tried to dig up my bones and they couldn't tell what gender I was, but they did think I worshipped Coca-Cola. Yeah, I'm like, give it a light novel title, man.
I was gonna be like Trash Can Curators or something, but
I guess we call it Another Man's Treasure, right?
That's a game coming to Nintendo
that's
Switch.
Another Crab's Treasure, actually. Got you there. Actually.
Got me there. Okay, Another Man's Treasure. Actually.
Oh. I could be the most annoying person in the world, I think, if I put my mind to it. And every day I don't.
It's a mercy, and we have to thank you.
Yeah, I just think, like, you know, so many people look at me and they go, Kayla's quite annoying. And you gotta think, she could be worse.
She could be worse. Thank you for listening to Game Soup.
Oh, it's that one? No!